C15 is going to use a lot of the same commands that we previously used with C13 and C14. However, we are going to learn one new way to create circles, and that's going to be by using tangents. I've already kind of jumped ahead and done this circle and added some center lines. So the next steps that we're going to be working on are adding this portion and this portion of our drawing. So in AutoCAD, you can see what I've already created. It should be very simple for you guys to do. I'm now going to offset the center line over on both sides in order to create my center lines for the next few circles. So I'm going to offset over 3, offset over 3. This is going to be another new command that you'll need to write down. You'll definitely need to know the difference between this and lengthen. And I'm going to use a command called extend. So I'm going to do EX, and just like I do for trim, I've got to hit enter twice. I've got to hit enter twice for extend. And so for extend, it's going to allow me to extend a line, not a certain distance, but it's going to go to the next point. So there's your main difference between lengthen and extend. Extend is going to extend a line or extend part of an object to the next available point. Lengthen is going to allow you to select a distance that you want to lengthen a line or an object. So once I have this done, I now have the center point for where my two smaller circles are going to be here and here, as well as the medium-sized circle. So I'm going to go ahead and do C enter and type in D for diameter and type in 1. And then I'm going to do C enter again, same center point, and because it's going to be radius, I don't have to type in anything except for the radius of the circle, which should be 1 1/4. I could do the same thing that I just did on the opposite side, or I can do CO for copy, click the center point, and click the center point, and it's a lot faster. My new command, other than extend, that I'm going to be doing for this drawing is going to be circle and then tangent, tangent, radius. So I'm going to do C enter, and you can see it always has been asking me this. We just haven't really looked at it before. It's asking for the center point, or we've got the option for TTR. So I can do T or TTR. Either way is going to work. And now it's asking me to select the first point of tangency for my circle. So I'm going to click somewhere along this inner edge of the circle and somewhere along this edge of the circle. If I look, I can see here's going to be the center point of the circle, or the arc really that I'm creating, and this is going to be the radius, is 1 1/2. So now it's asking me to put in the radius. So I'm going to do 1 1/2 and hit enter. So you may not have realized what we just did, but once we trim this, we now have a smooth arc. So let me hit enter again, T enter, and then I can go ahead and select again along this edge and this edge. But let me show you if I click a little bit too far. So if I click here and here and type in 1 1/2, it's going to make a circle on the inside. This is not what we want. So even though it doesn't really matter where you're placing your tangent points, because it's going to kind of move and adjust to make sure that the points that are being selected, your circle that you're creating, like this circle, is only touching this circle and this one at one point with a specific radius. But it does help to go ahead and put these in a very similar location to where the arc's going to be. I'm going to hit enter, T, and then I'm going to select, and then hit enter, and same thing. I'm going to select where my tangency is going to be. Here and here, I can hit enter because it's already set for 1 1/2, and then now I can get through the whole process of trimming so this drawing looks a little bit more like the drawing in the book. So you can go ahead and trim. I'm going to do TR, enter, enter, and select the areas that I need to trim. Just be careful about where you are selecting, and be really, really smart with using the boxes versus just clicking on each one. Now if I can't trim these areas right here, there's nothing else to trim to, I can just select and delete. I do need to go ahead and trim here, 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 and here. Once I've done that, I can use my new command of extend, EX, enter, enter, and click to extend these center lines to the edge of my arcs. Now I want to do lengthen, so I'm going to do LEN, enter, DE, enter, 3/8. So we've seen the difference between lengthen and extend. And I want to go ahead and now lengthen each of these lines. Once I have this, then I can go ahead and change these lines, these center lines, to the center line layer as well. So I'm going to go and hit escape, select each of these, and then change this now to center line. The next thing that we'll have to do is add dimensions. I'm not going to go through adding dimensions. You guys are well aware of how to do that. I do want to point out that when you are dimensioning arcs, you need to be using the radius dimension. When you're using diameter dimension, that should only be for our circles. I only see 3 circles on this drawing, so even though we may have created it using circle, there's way less than half the circle left, so this is going to be considered an arc. So we'll want to do radius dimension, radius dimension, radius dimension. I would suggest for this, since this circle and this one are the same, just doing times 2 holes, making life a little bit easier and having a few less dimensions. Please make sure none of your dimensions go inside the drawing and that you do add the necessary linear dimensions in order to know where our center lines are located. Other than that, when you finish dimensioning, please insert title block and then go ahead and upload to Schoology after you print it as a PDF.